to the support as a channel member, Stephen Boyd II. I swear financial problems follow me around in Football Manager even when I'm not responsible for them. I sold my backup goalkeeper. We all know the implications that potentially has on a football club, especially when your first choice goalkeeper then gets injured. We get to January. I'm looking forward to spending my 20-30 million pounds that I made by selling him. And they took all my budget away, reduced my wage budget. It now looks like I'm overspending on my wage budget. And I've got enough. All the money's gone. And I didn't. This isn't even my fault. It's because they didn't qualify for the Champions League last year. Hello, welcome to Club 6, Part 6 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a couple of big games for you in the Premier League. We are at home against both Manchester City and Manchester United. Two very big games. I had hoped to also show you the January transfers, but as mentioned in the intro, there aren't really any. We managed to squeeze one in who we had pre-arranged before my budget was taken off me. Casper Boy, who is a left-footed centre-back, because I figured was an area in the squad we probably needed to strengthen. He's a wonder kid. He's come in and immediately been loaned out to Sheffield United in the Championship, so we're not even going to get to see him play this season. But the thing I'm most upset about is that we did sell Francesco Forlani, £28 million, with a plan to be able to reinvest that money in January. As you know, Sebastiano Branca, what's his face? Zelmar Blanco then got injured. So youngster Sebastiano Branca has been playing in goal for a while now. He's been our goalkeeper for 13 matches, 13 consecutive Premier League matches. So half the season at this point, we've had this youngster in goal because we sold our backup goalkeeper so we could spend the money. And then they just took the money off me. I know this isn't ideal, but I haven't caused this. You know, it's not oodles of transfer debt. It's the fact that they didn't qualify for the Champions League, so they've not got that Champions League money flowing in. But they've taken all my transfer budget off me, even though there's still supposedly 100% retained transfer revenue. That's a lie. And they've now reduced my wage budget to make it look like I'm not meeting my wage budget. And then moaning. Are they moaning at me? But actually, they're not moaning at me about that. That's fair. If they'd have moaned at me about that, I'd have been very, very upset. We keep, every time any money comes in, pouring it back into wage budget. But there are no January transfers. As a result, we've just got to make sure we get back into the Champions League again, which we should, because form has been pretty good until these last three Premier League matches. We actually won a ridiculous number of consecutive. I think we might have set the Premier League record for consecutive Premier League wins. Is that a record that's on here? Most consecutive, most matches won in a row. No, it was Manchester City with 18. We got pretty close to that. I know we set the club record for most wins in a row, but then the wheels have fallen off all at the same time. Arsenal started it, beating us 5-1. That was the first time we really, really missed Blanco. We did then knock Reading out of the FA Cup with our reserves, but then lost to Manchester City in the Premier League, drew with West Ham in the Premier League. We are still top, but nowhere near as comfortable as we were 3 matches ago. And like I say, we've now got 2 very big games to play. This is the point where it would be nice to be able to draft in some reinforcements. But of course, that's not an option. And the really upsetting thing is the team that are likely to catch us, if anyone does catch us, is Tottenham. And I'll never be able to show my face on YouTube again if that happens. Let's go beat Manchester City. This is the team we're putting out there. We're going with Branca in goal. A back four of Peralta, Corgi, Sugimoto and Pereira. Filipov at the base of the midfield with Bellingham and Ramon ahead of him. Kone on the left, Borges on the right and Diallo up front. Borges has just won, was it the European goal? Yeah. So he's won Next Gen and European Golden Boy now. Borges is quite good. So he needs to get more game time. It does mean sacrificing Aspas, who is the Premier League's top scorer currently. But as you can see, these last few matches, it hasn't really been going to plan. He's not scored in the last 4 matches that he's played, last 6 matches in total, because we didn't use him for 2 of them. But he was in incredible form, and then he just has stopped. You know what he's like. He's a form player. It seems he's dropped out of form. So this was the plan at the start of the season. Diallo up front, Borges on the right. We've not really done it because of the form Aspas was in. But he's not in good form now, so let's try this. Diallo up front, who is our top scorer anyway, so why not play him as a centre forward? We've got to try something different to stop this rot. 3 games without a win is not acceptable for a team that is trying to win the Premier League, and certainly not ideal going into games against Manchester City and Manchester United, because it could very easily turn into 5 games without a win, And that is very worrisome form at that point. City, of course, have Erling Haaland, which is a problem. But we've taken the ball off him relatively comfortably there. And now Diallo is on the counter-attack, plays it back to Kone. Ramon has burst out of midfield. There's not really anyone supporting him in the area, but he's played it back nicely to give everyone else time to catch up with him. Peralta has run into trouble there, but does still find the cross, but it's cleared by Ruben Diaz, who finds Erling Haaland. I mean, it looked like a clearance, but it actually was a beautiful pass. But Haaland has lost out on the ball again. And this time we're going to try coming down this right-hand side where Borges has left his fullback for dead, played it in for Diallo, and it's cleared off the line. It looked like the new master plan had worked perfectly with the pace of Borges and Diallo's movement, but he couldn't quite put enough on the shot. And it remains 0-0, but we've got a corner, Borges to take. And of course, we have threats from these set-piece situations, but Manchester City have my boy Seko in goal, and we know he's quite good at doing that. Just running out and catching a football, which is a useful skill for a goalkeeper to have, but it remains 0-0 halfway through the first half. We've certainly started brighter than Manchester City have, but I mean, nothing but a win is going to be good enough in this match, purely based on the form we've been in going into it. Tottenham are at home to Everton, which is a game you'd expect them to win. So if we drop points here against City and Tottenham win, that gap gets ever smaller, and we could find ourselves at the end of this episode behind Tottenham in the league, aka a disastrous situation. Borges with the corner again. It's a poor one. It's just, there's no Liverpool players getting anywhere near that. And now Filipov back to Sugimoto and Pereira, who takes it inside so that he can play it on that left foot and do the in-swinger. It takes a deflection and it's another corner. We need a better one from him this time. Sugimoto is a big boy and a big threat from these set pieces if we can find him. We've gone for Corgi at the near post, but his header goes wide. Still 0-0. Manchester City have still not had a shot. It's one of those situations where you really feel like we probably needed to capitalise on being so on top in the game, and that could come back to bite us. We've been dominating so far, haven't been able to find the breakthrough. If we end up drawing or Manchester City end up grabbing an against run of play goal, we're going to regret the fact that we've not picked up a goal in that first half. And of course, Manchester City have Erling Haaland, and we're not going to keep him under control all game long the way we have so far. In fact, he's done well there to keep hold of the ball and keep the City counter-attack going. But luckily, it does peter out. But with Haaland up front, you've got to believe Manchester City have a goal in them, so we must score. Borges looking for the far post. There's literally no Liverpool players there. And Seko just plucks it out of the sky. Easy as you like. We've seen him do it so many times before. And this front three, I don't know that it's working today. Diallo is one of the best players in the world, but he's struggling playing as centre forward. We've got Aspas on the bench. The question is, at what point do we use him? Who do we take off? Do we take off Diallo, who's having a poor game, Borges, and put Diallo back on the right-hand side? But it's a little harsh on Borges because he is playing better than Diallo, but he's also playing in his position and they both want to play in the same spot. Bellingham to Borges, plays it into Diallo, who can't once. Oh, I thought for a second there, I thought it flashed up with a goal. It was a substitution, but once again, Diallo is played in and just can't get enough welly on the shot. It's for a man who's scored as many goals as he has this season, he really seems to be struggling for end product today. Kone now playing it back to Filipov and Peralta, back to Kone, slots it in, looking for Borges, can't find him. This front three is frustrating me today. Filipov back out to Peralta, who's in acres of space. Back to Filipov again, who is also in acres of space, has the shot. I mean, there's probably better options to do there than have the shot. And it's across to Borges, all 5'4" of him, wins the header, but it goes wide. And again, we are just all over Manchester City. 22 shots, but only 3 of them on target. We've got an XG of 2.21 and they've not had a shot on target. Oh, it's frustrating. And now Kone's tired. We're going to bring on Vidovic, who we've actually recalled from his loan. He was out on loan at Al Sadd for the first half of the season, got 20 goal contributions from 18 appearances. So we've recalled him just to freshen the team up. If we can't bring in signings, let's bring back the players that we've already got. I think we're also going to... Are we really going to take off Diallo in this situation? I think we are. We're going to bring Aspas on for Diallo. Borges has just played better than Diallo has. I think that's the fair substitution to make. And then we're also going to bring on George Wilson and slot Pereira over to that side. And we're going to go over right footer at right back in the hope that more crosses come in. With Aspas on, we certainly want crosses into the penalty area, but it's Manchester City who are on the ball. I think this is just one of those, there's a substitute going on highlights that isn't going to lead to anything. If it leads to a goal, I'm going to be very sad because we have been comfortably the better team in this game. I mean, even going back as far as that Arsenal game where we lost 5-1, we actually won the game on XG. It's not that we've suddenly started playing bad. It's that we've suddenly stopped scoring goals. And at the same time, we're playing a kid in goal who, on his day, is going to be found out by teams like Arsenal. And it's as frustrating as that. We're not doing anything differently. It's just Aspas has stopped scoring, Jallo's stopped scoring. And we don't really have a plan B because we don't have that strength in depth. And now Manchester City demonstrating just how dangerous they can be with a half chance. It's a free kick from the edge of the area, and we're lucky that it's hit the crossbar rather than nestling into the top corner. We're bringing on LOLLUJO. We're also going to bring on Owning. LOLLUJO has been playing pretty well in the Europa League games, the cup games that we've been playing. He's a striker officially, but I think he's probably going to end up, I know he's 27, so he's a little bit old to be messing with him, but as a Mazzara, he doesn't quite have the finishing to play as a centre forward, but coming out of that central midfield position, I think he could be very useful. We're going to stick Owning out on that right-hand side. We did it a few times for Juventus last season. We are going to make him a winger while he's out there. This is where it would be nice to be able to bring Borges back on, or Jallo back on. We took off Jallo, didn't we? It would have been nice to leave one of them on the bench from the start and be able to bring one of them on now. By shuffling the attack around at the start, the lack of strength in depth means we can't make particularly effective substitutions later on, which is frustrating. But Owning on the right-hand side, can he find the cross? It doesn't beat the man. It ends up in the area, but via a deflection, and it's cleared comfortably. Have Man City taken off Erling Haaland? I think they have. They're just lumping the ball forward, and Branca with the spectacular catch. Does that count as their first shot on target? Was that going towards the goal? Was it even a shot? Branca certainly decided he wanted to make a save. Sugimoto plays it forward to Wilson, who gives the ball away, but then immediately wins it back. That's actually quite good from Wilson, the way he won that back. And now Owning, bursting forward again. Can he just slide it across goal to Aspas? Aspas, he's there! And there's the goal, and that's hugely important. I mean, it took a massive deflection. It's not what Owning was trying to do, but importantly, it made its way to Aspas and then into the back of the net. And that's what the substitutions were designed to do. It wasn't supposed to look quite like this, but who cares? We've got the goal, and that's all that matters. It's Liverpool 1, Manchester City 0 with 5 minutes left to play. Now just don't balls it up from here, lads. Continue defending as well as you have today, because we haven't given him a sniff. And let's keep it up. Vidovic can't quite get there for the ball forward from the goalkeeper, but Filipov finds Aspas, and now Bellingham and Vidovic has burst through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and it's his first goal since returning to the club, and it's 2-0, and Manchester City all of a sudden have fallen apart. I mean, we have been all over them all game long. This is no less than we deserve. We probably, if we're doing what do teams deserve, if that's the game we're playing, we're probably due a third in the next couple of minutes before this match is done, because we've played that well. In fact, you could argue we're due a fourth as well. We're on 3.5 for XG, and Wilson with a free header inside the 6-yard box probably should have added the third. Manchester City are struggling big time now, but the important thing is we have picked up the win. We've stopped the rot. We need to continue against Manchester United, obviously, and make sure that we don't slip back. We are still struggling for finishing, but maybe Vidovic, who is in form, as much as he's an old man who I don't really have long-term plans for, maybe he needs a run in the team. Aspas has added the third. And, the media will be talking about how this flatters us. It absolutely doesn't. I still think we've underperformed our XG here. I mean, our XG is probably over 4 at this point, because that was a big chance for Aspas. So my argument is we're probably still due a fourth. Yeah, 4.74 for XG. We have absolutely dominated that match. I mean, we won 3-0. Have we found our new front three? I don't think we have. I don't think we're going to be starting Vidovic and Owning in the front three ahead of Kone and Jallo and Borges, but a win is a win, and we will absolutely take it. Let's go do the same thing against Manchester United. So, few changes for the Manchester United game. As you can imagine, nothing happened on transfer deadline day because we had no money. The most significant change is Blanco is back. He's passed his fitness test. He's been out a long while. He's only actually played 12 games this season, so he's played fewer games for us than Branca this season. He is back in goal. We're shuffling around the back four as well. We've brought Wilson in from the start to play at right back, because I think we do need that right footer at right back. It would have been nice to be able to sign one in January, wouldn't it? Ryman comes in at centre-back alongside Corgi as well. And we're going to play Elvis Gabriel as the holding midfielder today. Jaeger is off on international duty with Brazil. And Gabriel's actually a natural holding midfield player and does want more game time. He's only started one match all season before this. So maybe that's going to be his role. So Gabriel will sit in there. And then we're going to bring Aspas back in up front. Jallo goes back out onto the right-hand side. It's a little bit harsh on Borges, who's just won Premier League Player of the Month. But we can't drop Jallo. He's our captain and Premier League top scorer and best player in the world, arguably. Certainly best player in the Premier League. We've got ourselves into a pickle by having two very good players in the same position and then not selling Aspas, which was the main part of the plan. But when he comes off the bench, like he did in the last game and scores 2 goals, it's then pretty hard to leave him out for the next game. Frustrating, man. Right, Ramon is in early in the match and his shot goes wide. First big opportunity for us. I won't say it's squandered. It wasn't a really easy chance, but I would expect more competition out of Manchester United. Not because they're necessarily a better team than Manchester City, but because City were just so poor in that last match, didn't really offer anything. And United, you would think, would have some significant motivation to stop Liverpool going back to the top of the Premier League and winning the Premier League again after an 8th place finish last year that I'm sure Manchester United fans would have enjoyed greatly. Jallo is in. It's a lovely ball from Aspas. And Jallo was tackled, I think. It looked more like a foul than a tackle. It kind of bobbled free to Jude Bellingham. And he has stuck it into the back of the net. But it was a very weird attack. I want to have a look at this from the other angle. So it's with Kone initially. Plays it across to Aspas. That's a lovely pass. Jallo is in. And then it's kind of a tackle that bobbles off him and somehow ends up behind him and the tackler into the path of Jude Bellingham. He's not going to miss from there. Tucks it into the back of the net. 1-0. Very nice to get on the score sheet a little bit earlier in this match than we did against Manchester City. Hopefully, our pesky not being able to score nonsense is coming to an end. Corgi with the header from the corner. Can't get there. But Jallo, once again, looks like he's been fouled, but dances past his man. And then, was that Ramon or Raimon? I don't know which one it was who hit that from range. Didn't have long enough to have a proper look. I would say, based on how much he missed by, probably Raimon. Raymond. Not Ramon. Got to get rid of one of them. Probably could have sold one of them to pay for a right back. I mean, I'm not going to sell the good one. Raimon, the centre-back, we don't really need. We could let him go in the interest of bringing in a right back in the summer. Kone with the in-swinger, looking for that far post where Corgi nods it back across goal, and it's Bellingham again. And it's his second goal of the game. Jude Bellingham very much enjoying being released a little bit further up the pitch in this box-to-box midfielder role. Couple of goals for him today, couple of proper finishers goals as well. I think he's just had enough of us not scoring goals and has decided to get in there and play as a poacher. He's basically been in as the second striker so far in today's game, which is lovely old stuff. 2-0 up at half-time. This is much more like what we were looking for from today's episode. As it stands right now, Manchester City and Manchester United, both outside of the Premier League top 4. Comments section. Do your history, do your research. When was the last time that there was a Premier League top 4 at the end of the season that didn't have either Manchester team in it? There's a question for you. Has it ever happened before? I would suspect my first instinct would be in real life. It's never happened. There's probably always been at least one of Manchester United or Manchester City in that top 4 in Premier League history. I would suggest. Let me know down in the comments section. Love a little bit of YouTube interaction and a little bit of football trivia all wrapped up into one. Right, Gabriel, who, he's had a tidy game in so much as we've not really noticed him, which for the defensive midfielder is all you can really ask for, really. I'm only going to notice him if he makes a mistake. If you forget he's there, that means he's probably doing quite a good job of just protecting the defence that are behind him. Aspas turns, and again, looks like he's been fouled. These Manchester United defenders are very kicky. They keep knocking my players over, and at the moment, it's not causing too much in the way of problems. It's leading to chances, leading to goals, but it's also not leading to free kicks, bookings, anything like that. United are just being allowed to kick us around wherever they want, which I'm not sure I'm on board with. We've made a few substitutions there just to keep things nice and fresh. Nothing revolutionary, no real tactical changes, just a bunch of like-for-like changes, just to, like I say, keep things fresh. Gabriel has got off. I think he had a decent enough game. Filipov can come back in and play in that role for the rest of this match. Obviously, it's Jaeger's role long term, so either of them are just they're kind of playing for that opportunity to be the backup. Although they're both so flexible, they've both got secure squad spots for next season anyway. Gabriel can play anywhere across the back four as well as that defensive midfield position, and Filipov can play anywhere in those three central midfield positions. So both of them will be sticking around as backups for as long as they're happy to stick around as backups. And I can't imagine a scenario, which is part situation, part scenario. I can't imagine a scenario, new words with Kev, where either of them are ever a regular first team starter either. So we don't really need to worry either way. Wild effort that goes wide from Manchester United. They don't really, similar to with City, they don't really seem to be offering very much at all. We've absolutely dominated them without embarrassing them, which kind of seems to be becoming our trademark. We're going to bring on Borges and try and play him on the left-hand side, I think. He can play over there as an inside forward. And I think it would help his long-term opportunities in the team if he can play anywhere across the front three. Similar to with Jallo and Kone, to be honest. I'd like my strikers to be able to play across the front three. And at the moment, Kone is the only one who can play on the left. And none of the three of them are natural up front. Aspas has to be there as our natural striker. So a little bit more flexibility from all of those boys would be very much appreciated. And Borges is the one who's young enough, probably, to be able to cope with learning a new position. The others are grumpy old men at this point who are too set in their ways. Look at those for match stats. We're quite a good football team. And after a little bit of a worry, a little bit of a wobble, we end the episode 7 points clear at the top of the Premier League. And fingers crossed, the dream is happening. And we might actually finally pick up that Premier League win that we've been looking for so long, as I look to become the greatest English manager in history. I mean, why is it listing Peterborough Sports there and just Peterborough Sports? That's weird. Is this glitched out? Because that's me. But I've won more than that. I think I might be doing this wrong. Nation, maybe nationality is what I'm looking for. There we go. So that is that thing with winning that league with Peterborough Sports is the only thing I've done as an actual English trophy. That's pathetic. But there I am. I am now better, as you can see, than Beta Kev. Alpha Kev reigns supreme. But we are looking at Bob Paisley and wondering if it's possible. We want to win the Champions League with Liverpool. So even if we win the Premier League this year, the save won't end this year. Might end next year, though. Is 2 Premier League wins and a Champions League win going to be enough to catch up with Bob Paisley and become the greatest English manager of all time? He had 3 Champions League wins. We'd have 3 if we won it again. And he also had 6 Premier League wins. Well, we've had hopefully 2 Premier League wins by then. And we've also had 3 Serie A wins and a La Liga win. I mean, you'd think we'd be pretty close. It's got to make it happen now, haven't we? If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.